far.
That extra gear, the first 3 steps.
Huge strides in the performance.
That I might not be the player I am today.
All right, welcome to another episode of Behind the Gear. And today we have the pleasure of sitting down with Lawson Crouse of the Arizona Coyotes and Elgin Middlesex Chiefs back in the day. But Law, thanks a lot for coming, first of all. If people ask you, hey, Law, where's home for you? Where's kind of your hometown? Where are you from?
Yeah, it's a little bit different now, but born and raised, obviously London, and spent a lot of time in Mount Bridges, Ontario. I kind of flop all over the place in the summer nowadays, but it's kind of good, get a feel for different cities, different areas, and kind of just get to explore and be kind of a normal kid for the summer. Yeah,
it's kind of cool. And I mean, you had a chance to go live in Toronto, I think, with your sister for a couple of years, right? And train there. How do you differentiate Toronto for a summer opposed to like London or Port Stanley or some of these smaller areas?
Yeah, it's I mean, if you love big volumes, Toronto's obviously the place for you. But for me, growing up in Mount Bridges, it was a town of 1,000 people. So going to a city with over 4 million was a little hectic at times. When, I mean, I know one year I lived 5 kilometers from my gym and it would take me 30 minutes to get there.
It's crazy.
So
yeah,
I had enough of that. It was more of a headache than anything.
Yeah.
But, I mean, obviously really good training there, really good staff there. But for me, it was more of a personal decision for kind of my mental health to come back, spend time with friends and family. Because, I mean, I play in Arizona. It's not the closest place to go. It's a 4-hour trip on the plane, and not, I guess, all your family and friends can afford to fly out nonstop. So it's been nice to be back home.
You know, a lot of times, guys, you know, we'll talk about NHL guys and how sick their job is, man. And it is an unreal job, obviously, when things are going well. But, you know, we talk about mental toughness or mentally. And, you know, one thing we talk a lot with young kids is mental toughness. And, well, what exactly is that? But even for guys like you guys, you know, yeah, you're a little bit older now than a young kid, but being 21, 22, 23, coming home in the summer is kind of nice to just recharge, be around family and friends, be normal, just be Lawson, you know, used to pick his nose and eat it way back in the day, right? But it's kind of nice to come back to that environment, right? Where you're just like, you're just a dude and see I'm sure some of your buddies too that could give a shit if you played in the NHL or if you're a plumber, just to go hang with them for a bit too, right?
Yeah, and that's exactly what it was all about. I mean, as a kid, you just trying to get to the NHL, it's like go, nonstop. And I mean, when you get there, it's not that you're taking a foot off the pedal. It's just you're realizing that you need other things in your life to make you happy and make you successful as well as just a person away from the rink. And that was kind of a big stepping stone for me. I realized that I wanted to kind of reach out and connect with some friends that, you know, I hadn't seen in three or 4 years. And for me to come back and spend time with them, it's been great. And I know they love it. I love it. And obviously it's been a lot of fun coming back home.
Oh, it's great. And like $4 beers here opposed to $14 beers is way better.
Yeah, no kidding. The bottle service is a little cheaper here.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah. But growing up, obviously played your minor hockey, mostly Mount Bridges, correct? And then jumped over to the Chiefs. So did you jump into the Chiefs right in kind of minor Adam, right? Yeah. So you ended up playing AAA kind of the whole way through. And one cool part of your story, I mean, just like a lot of the guys we talk about, obviously you're, you know, a very good player, worked hard, did a lot of things off ice and different things like that as you went through. But, you know, as you were going through, kind of something interesting happened to you kind of in that draft year, that minor, you know, major band and minor midget years. Your game kind of changed a little bit. Like, you know, you weren't, I remember kind of going through that Nhl Draft year, you weren't a first overall or a first round pick. Like you were kind of late, right? Yeah. Is what kind of changed in that 1 or 2 years as far as just, I know you grew a lot, so you're probably a little Bambi-ish, but once you kind of got into your own, what is there anything that you can remember kind of change, even a conversation with your dad or anybody, just, you know?
Yeah, I remember actually, I think it's your major band, after minor Bantam year, they have that, I don't know if they still do it, they have that invitational for the top 60 prospects or whatever, and I wasn't on that list, and me and my dad were just like looking at each other, and it wasn't like a negative thing. It was more of an energy thing and kind of something to put some fuel on the fire. And from there on out, I don't know. I didn't really change much. I just kept working hard. And I mean,
did that kind of piss you off a bit though, where you're like, I want to be in the top 60?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I was always a kid that was up high on the team. And for me to not get that call, it wasn't like F you. It was more of just like okay, let's prove them wrong here. And I went in and had a really good minor midget year. Obviously, it helped playing alongside Konechny, and the rest went very well.
Oh, it's awesome. No, it's cool because I think like a lot of kids go through this, even if you're a high end kid or a low end kid. But you get these obstacles thrown at you, and then a lot of times, you know, right away, dad's like, "Well, so-and-so knows the coach. This is why this guy got it. And then there's like a lot of guys that aren't even playing anymore. You know what I mean? And you're still playing, and maybe you should have been on, maybe you shouldn't have been on. But I think how parents approach that, especially with the younger kids, and being like, buddy, obviously there's something that you're missing, that you think somebody didn't like it, or somebody didn't like your skills, or whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
So let's prove them wrong. Let's work on your stuff, you know?
And I mean, at the same time, you're 14, 15 years old. You're just basically beginning to learn, and you're not even at that next step yet. So it was just, there's a lot of time to kind of make up that ground. And for me, it was just putting the work in and trying, like you said, to prove everyone wrong, and obviously prove the believers right.
Yeah. One thing I tell a lot of parents now, like if I'm chatting with them about, you know, because everyone like thinks at 8 years old, you got to be the best. And at 9 years old, you got to be the best. And then you're minor midget, you got to get drafted. If you don't, who knows? And I talk to parents that maybe their kid didn't get drafted in the O, and that's devastating. You know, you went through it as a draft pick, but you had buddies that didn't get drafted. And I know some of them wanted to sell their equipment and quit hockey, you know? And I always say, let's just see where everyone is in 5 years. You know, like you look at that 14-year-old year, you know, maybe you don't get picked for that band of select team or that select group of guys. Okay, well, let's see where everyone is in 5 years. Yeah. And if you fast forward 5 years from now, that 60 players looks way different than it did now, right?
A lot changes, and players and people develop at different times, and some are early bloomers, some are late bloomers, but you kind of always have to continue on that rise up. And I mean, when you go through a draft, it's not really much. It's just a number. It's pretty much just an invitation to come to camp. You still got to go prove yourself. And I mean, with the past NHL draft, I saw a lot of players that didn't get drafted that went on to have successful NHL careers tweeting out that, hey, it's literally just an invitation to camp pretty much. And obviously when you're drafted, you have that highly kind of touted talk around your name and around who you are. But at the same time, there's a lot of players that go on to have great careers that were drafted late or not even drafted at all.
And I think sometimes you went through it, right? So, you know, if we kind of we'll get back to the minor hockey a little bit, but look at that NHL draft, you know, obviously played in Kingston, had a good OHL run. And then now all of a sudden you're touted as like a top 5, top 6 NHL pick, which is huge, but there's a lot of pressure on that too, right? Yeah. You know, I think in midget for you is like, holy smokes, I went in the first round where I was projected the bottom of the basement at the start of the year. Now, you know, that's kind of cool. But now in the NHL draft, you're like, there's a little bit of pressure on you now. I think as a first round pick going to camp, like everyone, media's looking at you, coaches are looking at you, everyone's kind of looking at you, and it would have been nice to be a 6th round pick and just going under the radar, right?
I mean, there's a lot of expectations when it comes along with that first round pick, and you see it all the time. And for me, when I see kids come through Arizona that get picked in the first round, it's like, hey, you can't really take your foot off the gas. Like things are going to get harder, and people are going to expect more and more from you each day, and it is a mental and physical grind, but you got to push through it. Yeah,
no, for sure. And if you look back on kind of how you did it, because going to Florida in the first round, awesome. It was in Florida. Yeah. You know, you definitely fell in the you know, as far as where you were projected to go, which whatever. I mean, still went very, very high. But I know those first, like, we kind of joked about this with the kids the other day, but going from like, let's say pick number 5 and 6 to like 7, 8, 9, 10 to 11 doesn't sound like a lot, but when you're sitting there,
headers just get bigger and bigger.
Yeah, just sweating buckets. Cameras are on you. Like everyone's just like looking over. You know, your buddies are at home, like, what's going on? Tweeting or texting and stuff. But that's tough in itself. Then you get drafted to Florida, which is awesome because it was in Florida, right? Which is pretty cool. But what was that like going through that? A little bit of a drop, like not crazy, but just a little bit of a 4 or 5 picks. You're like, man, is this going to happen, or am I going to be that kid? Doesn't get drafted in the first round.
Yeah, it's definitely a little weird. I mean, you put all your work in leading up to the draft, and then at that point, it's just a waiting game. And you've done everything. You've did all your interviews. You've done everything that you can to be successful. And at that point, it's just sitting and waiting to decide who's going to take you. And I mean, my draft, I slid down and kept going. And actually, my dad looked at me and said, hey, well, if you don't go today, we can come back tomorrow. And, I got a little chuckle after that. And then before I knew it, my name was called next. Yeah. So. I mean, it was a little stressful, but at the same time, as soon as I heard my name called, I kind of blacked out, and everything just seemed to disappear, and I was just so happy and excited, full of emotion.
Yeah, it's super, super cool. Now, when that happens, because this has never happened to me, so when that happens, you get drafted in the first round, you go to camp, you have probably a pretty good development camp, everything's fine. Are you thinking, man, I want to, like, I think I could play in the NHL, or were you thinking, you know what? I want this experience. I want to check it out, but I think going back to the O is a better option for me. Like, were you all in at that point, or were you kind of like, okay, I'm going to see how this goes?
No, I was all in, and I had that mindset going into camp that I wanted to make the team. And I think what really helped me was playing in the World Juniors as an underager. I realized that, hey, I can play this next level, because I mean that's a pace above what any Canadian Hockey League team would be about. And,
Sure.
I mean, for me to do that as an underager, I kind of just really opened my eyes and kind of put this kind of almost changed my mindset to when you put your mind to something, that anything's possible, and when you work at it and put the effort in, and obviously everything that comes along with it, success comes with that, and nothing's really given ever in hockey, and everything's earned. So
Yeah, no, for sure. Now going into like, I know we're bouncing around here a little bit, but you bring some up to me that I want to touch on for sure, is that whole World Junior experience. Now you get invited as an underager, which happens every year. There's a couple underagers that are invited. Very, very hard to make that team number one and number two as an underager. Almost, the greats of the greats make it. And I'm not saying you're not, but obviously no. But he had some qualities that they liked, and obviously played very, very well. But what was it like going in as an underager? Again, going in that, were you like, I'm stealing someone's job here, or was it like, where am I right now?
Yeah, I was a little bit of everything. And I mean, I was caught off guard by that call, but as soon as I came in, we had interviews that night with all the management and stuff. And they looked at me and they said, hey, take your age out of it. We have a role that we can see you playing, and we just want you to do your best and work hard. And if you do what you normally do, you're going to be fine. So I kind of just put my mindset aside, just ignored that bubble that I had on my face when everyone else is in visors. And I just went out there and played hockey.
Yeah. No, it's and actually, what great advice, right, from management, just saying, don't worry about your age.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like you're the same as these guys. Really, you're going to be playing against these guys in a couple of years potentially, anyway.
I mean, you grow up and you watch like McKinnon's, the Druins. They were all underagers that played, and I mean, McDavid was the only other underager there too. So I'm sitting here going like, holy crap, like, this is incredible.
It's unreal. Now, how did you find out that you made it? So like, you go through the whole process, go through camp, all that kind of stuff, right? And then that's in the summer, correct?
So I didn't go to the summer camp.
Oh, so this was after. Okay. So you never went to the summer camp?
I never went to the summer camp because I was young.
Gotcha.
And then I opened their eyes
during the start of the season.
Start of the season.
Oh, okay.
In my second year, and then they invited me to the winter camp.
Yeah.
So then I think it was a pretty long camp. Like, it's 3 weeks.
And then you go right away to the tournament though, right?
Yeah.
Like you go from that camp to tournament.
Yeah. So we all showed up, I believe it was in Niagara, and we did a week of skating there in Niagara, and then it was off to the pre-elimination games and stuff like that. So I think our first exhibition game, it wasn't anything like finalized. It was like us versus the CIS team.
Yeah.
And that's something that they've kind of been doing the last 4 or 5 years. And kind of from there on out, that's when the cuts started happening. And I think we had 2 more exhibition games. And then our last one was against, I believe it was Russia, I think, in Toronto, before we all the actual exhibitions for real started.
Yeah, okay.
And, I had a really good game that game, and I remember thinking to myself, like, hey, what's going on here? And at that point, we're all back in the hotel, and obviously the high-end guys knew they were on the team, and there was about, I think, 3 cuts that needed to be made. And I was sitting in my room, just had TSN on, was on my phone, just kept refreshing, and then it was slowly like, this guy's gone, that guy's gone, and then I'm kind of
So you guys are kind of finding out through the media more than
and
team,
then eventually
right?
my phone rang in the hotel room, and they called me and
like
told me.
the old school phone that has the numbers on it.
So as soon as that phone rang, I'm like, oh crap, I'm going home.
Yeah.
But then they told me, hey, he made the team. So obviously from there on out, I just was so excited. Obviously, at being in Toronto, Montreal, I called all my family, all my friends, and it was pretty special.
Who was your roommate?
I had Dylan Hetherington.
Okay. Yeah.
I believe, I'm not sure where he's at now, but a couple of years ago, he was playing in Texas.
Okay.
In the AHL.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool.
But yeah, he was great. We had a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's awesome. Oh, that's really cool. Who made the call to you? Do you remember who it was?
I think maybe it was...
You probably don't even...
Jankowski, maybe?
Yeah, you probably don't even remember though. Like, it's probably hard to remember that conversation.
Yeah,
so as soon as you made it, you're like, anything else is just...
It's just a childhood dream, right?
Yeah, totally.
Especially being 17. Yeah. It's like, come on, this is unreal.
Yeah, no, that's cool. That's really cool. Now, what was it like to play with, like, basically the best of the best in Canada? Like, what was that like as far as... And these are all guys, for the most part, I know they're a year older. The next year you made the World Juniors again, so now you're playing kind of with your own birth year for the most part, right? But what was it like playing? Because a lot of these guys you would have seen play in tournaments. Maybe you played against them a little bit, but for the most part, they're a year older. And then a guy like McDavid, obviously you knew him, a little bit and played against him and stuff. But what was that like playing against just the best, man?
It was special, and it was a good feeling. And I mean, we had a very good team that year. I think for the most part, we were winning every game by 5 goals or so. And obviously it came down to that final game against Russia, and that was right down to the last whistle. And I mean, that was an incredible feeling. It's when people try and ask me to describe what it felt like winning there, I can't even begin to think of how to get the words out. It's just so much emotion going through your body. And I remember standing on that blue line singing the national anthem with the entire ACC at the time standing up cheering. It was pretty crazy. Yeah,
it's, especially doing it in Canada, it's unreal, right?
Oh, I remember we scored. I'm pretty sure it was Duclair. I think he scored with like 15 seconds in, and sitting on the bench, you could literally feel everything shaking because the people were so fired up.
Yeah,
like tickets out front were going for like thousands of dollars. Like people were scalping them out front for thousands of dollars.
And you're 17 years old, the bubble on.
Yeah, and drunk people hanging over the glass, like screaming Canada. Like
it's unreal though.
Oh,
because I mean, I'm sure you did. I mean, I grew up. I still love watching the World Junior Tournament, right? And being a part of it, actually having a seat on the bench, is, playing shifts is unbelievable, right? Like that's awesome, man.
Oh yeah,
very cool. And then obviously, things happen in Florida. Doesn't really work out. You get involved in a trade there and get traded to Arizona. What was it like going through basically the process of getting traded a little bit? Because you're a first round pick. Things happen, whatever. Maybe you got thrown in there because the other Arizona really wanted you. However, that all worked out. But I'm sure there's some mixed emotions there, right?
Yeah, and at the time, it was definitely a little confidence killer. And I mean, I was 11th overall pick to Florida and hadn't played a game with them yet, and they traded me, and it was almost kind of the feeling that they gave up, and I don't even know how to describe it. It was just kind of that feeling that I didn't do what I was supposed to do.
Sure.
And obviously I talked to Arizona, and they thought really highly of me, and I just kind of approached camp with a positive attitude and went in there and made that team. And actually I'm thankful getting traded out of Florida because obviously it's developed me into the player that I am now. So.
Yeah, for sure, man. And then that first year, I mean, you're young. You could have went back to junior and played another year, and you ended up playing in the NHL, which is unreal. Played the whole season up there too. I think you had over 70 games with them.
Yeah.
What was it like? Like, what was your first, like when they told, actually, first of all, who told you they made the team? So you go through camp, you go through probably some exhibition games, and you're probably still not sure because you got about 9-10 games that you could play or get sent home. So you're probably like, those first month sucks because you're probably just walking around a little bit on eggshells. I'm not sure, right?
Yeah. Obviously very nervous. And it's like any day the call could come that you're going back. And I mean, you're just trying to get to the next day, really. It's like, okay, I survived today. Let's get to tomorrow. I remember I got to my ninth game mark, and I believe it was against Colorado. And then we flew home after the game. And then the next morning, John Chaika called me and said, hey, listen, we want you to play this year. He said, this is going to be your role. We want you to try and do it the best you can. I said, yep. And he's like, would you rather go back to junior and play and, I mean, gather your skills? And I was like, heck no. Like, why would I want to do that? Like, I would rather be up here and challenge myself and grow. And, it was a lot of fun. He called me and obviously told me to get a house, and
it's amazing.
That's kind of the words that you're looking for.
For sure, 100%. When they say get a house, it's like okay.
Let's go.
Yeah, totally. That's awesome, man. So who'd you end up living with your first year then? Because at the beginning, were you just like hoteling it, or?
Yeah, I was bouncing around hotel and checking in, checking out. It's crazy. And
well, because when you guys would go away on road trips, you probably check out for those 4 or 5 days, and then check back in.
If they're a long road trip, you're checking out, and I mean the AHL is even worse.
Yes,
we'll get to that later.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was actually, to answer your question, I lived by myself my first year.
Yeah.
And I've always been a pretty independent person, and obviously it helped living away from home at 16 and junior. And I just feel more comfortable just being by myself, doing my own thing, not having to worry about other people's stuff in my house. So
yeah, for sure.
I just kind of enjoyed that independence and just doing my own thing. I mean, you hang out with the guys nonstop at the rink and then obviously on the road. So it's kind of nice to come home and just be by yourself on your day off that you have once a week. Even
if you get like a half a day to yourself, it's probably worth so much, right? Just because you are so, it is busy, man. Like a lot of people don't realize, like, especially out there, you're traveling a lot, you're a lot of road trips, a lot of weeks away. And then when you do get home, it's probably nice to not have a roommate that wants to play video games or talk hockey or go do whatever, right?
Yeah, it's just you do whatever you want. And it is go. With being in Arizona, we do have a lot of travel. I mean, with the time change and whatnot, it's 2 hours, 3 hours, depending on the time of year. And when you do get home, you just want to kick back and relax. So like I said, you're getting 1 day off a week, and it's usually a grind, and you're pretty banged up by then. And obviously, actually, my first year, I did a lot of golfing on my days off, and last year, not so much, because I realized that I needed to take that time to rest instead of going out and swinging the sticks, which I still love to do, but it's just not a thing that you can do every day off nowadays.
Yeah, but you kind of learn, right? I mean, I think your first year, probably, if you look back on it, you did a lot of stupid stuff that like probably didn't need to.
Well, that's the part of it, and that's the process. You learn on the go, and I mean, that's how you become the person you are. And to experience it, you in order to learn something, you have to go through it, and you have to try different things. You have to try new things, and it's just about learning on the go and trying to grasp it all.
Who were some of the vets that you ran into coming into Arizona that really kind of showed you the way? Whether it was like taking you under the wing or just watching them, being like, man, look how this guy conducts himself. You know?
Well, I was pretty fortunate. I got to play with Doan my first year.
Unbelievable, right? Yeah.
And I mean, not many players can say that, because he stuck with the same organization
throughout
his
entire career. Yeah, legend that way, for sure.
Yeah, he was an incredible influence on my career. And I remember when I showed up to the first skate there, I was there 2 weeks before camp, and they were running some private skates with just some of the former players and guys that were on the team last year and obviously on the team the next year. And I remember he came right up to me right away and knew everything about me, and it was crazy. I couldn't believe it. He was asking me how Kingston was, everything. He's just a very intelligent man, and you can tell he really cares. He's a person that when you talk to him, he actually listens, and he interprets things and builds off of them instead of just in one ear out the other, like, hey, how's it going? Yeah, blah, 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 that. He's just a very nice man, and obviously he's had a very successful NHL career. So to kind of learn from him and play with him and just watch him day in and day out, it was an incredible experience. And I mean, when we were obviously being a rookie on the team, you're kind of expected to be the first one out, last one off.
Yeah.
Shane Doan was always the first one out, last one off with us.
Eh?
Always playing games with us, like the little golf game where you start at the dodge, try and get it in the net, hit posts, his double points or whatever. He was always out there.
Yeah.
And that was just a person that kind of stuck with me. And anytime I see him, he kind of lingers around the rinks here and there. And every time I see him, it's good. You say hi to him and you're in a chat for 10, 15 minutes.
No, it's great. But just the guy who like loves the game, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, I think a lot, like, and you play with guys too in the A or the N or even in the O, where they're 20, 21, 25, like, oh, I'm getting so old. I'm banged up.
Yeah.
Like, dude, you're 25, man. Like,
here he is, 40 years old.
Yeah, and just still loving it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you see guys like that. I know for me anyway, I loved it all the way through. I didn't play that long, but I still love practicing. I love playing. And when you see guys like that have been in the league for 19, 20 plus years and still out playing golf with the boys, with the 21-year-olds, you know, it's awesome, man.
I mean, there's a reason he played that long, too. He put the work in, and obviously he cared so much about it. But I think a big thing was his personality away from the rink. And like I said, he was just so caring and such a great person to be around. And you could just feel the positive energy coming off him. So it was
that's
nice.
awesome, man. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Is there anybody else that stands out there that you kind of met that was maybe like obviously different than Donor? Because I think Don's obviously one of a kind type of guy. But anyone else that you kind of saw that you're like, man, that guy, kind of, we won't sue anybody, so we won't say I don't want to be like that guy. But it's the guys that just like worked hard or worked out hard or just kind of conducting themselves in that kind of pro way.
Well, a couple guys. Brad Richardson's obviously another guy. He's won a cup in LA and been around the league for a really long time. And he's the type of guy that comes in each and every day and just works. And I mean, he's got skill, but he works hard. And it's pretty eye-opening to see. I think he had a career year last year, scoring, I think he was upwards of almost 20 goals. And
yeah, he did. But he's a guy who's like unbelievable junior player, obviously very, very good player, but like just as really taken on a role and done really, really well with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I've had my chats with him, and for him, he said the sooner that you can kind of adapt to the role that you play, the better off you'll be. I mean, everyone comes in, everyone scores goals in junior, everyone gets points in junior, but in the NHL, it's different. You can't have a full team of goal scorers as much as you'd want to. You need roles to be filled, and for him, he said it took him a while to figure out that, hey, I can be a fourth, third line guy, and obviously go up and down the lineup at times with injuries and stuff. But if I can just get my mindset to just focus on that, he said it took him a couple of years to figure it out, but once he did, it's been the best thing ever. And obviously he's played a long time, so that kind of stuck with me. And but like I said, everyone obviously wants to be that goal scorer, and I do too. And it's not selling your game short by what means. And it's just about realizing that, hey, just because you're a goal scorer or point guy in junior doesn't mean you can't do other things. And that was obviously something that stuck with me.
No, I think it's huge. And I think that's unreal advice. Because even like if you look back at yourself in the O, you were a different player. You played a different role there. Like some years, your first couple of years, you maybe were grinding it out a little bit or whatever, but then you're, a go-to guy on the team. But I think when you get to that final stage of, pro hockey, and let's say it's NHL for you, there's almost every one of those guys was a high prolific guy on their team, right? So now it's like, okay, well, you got to become like World Juniors for you, for instance. You were penalty killing, you were playing a shutdown role, like different than what you were coming out of junior doing. But at the same time, it worked, and that's why they wanted you, and that's why you stuck. But understanding that and figuring that out, even for young kids, knowing what you're good at, what you need to work on, I think is huge. And obviously, guys like Richardson carved out an unreal career for himself. Yeah, and he's super valuable for teams and all the way through, right? Yeah,
everyone. I mean, I hear coaches say it every time. They want those character guys, not only on the ice, but in the locker room. Just like that experience and just the way that they work. It really builds off for the younger kids that come in. For me, example, to come in and see that. Yeah, I mean, if a young guy, say me, I come in my rookie year and see guys slacking off, not working hard, it's like, what's that going to do to me? Yeah. And then maybe when I'm that old guy, I'm going to be doing this, like I'm going to be slacking off. No. So it's good to have those guys that kind of portray the way that the game should be played, and you can kind of watch and learn. And then obviously when I'm an old guy, I want to be doing the same thing for younger kids.
Yeah, don't be that grumpy old guy. He's like, oh man, my old bones are sore today.
Yeah.
Speaking of a guy though, you talk about that culture in Arizona where that work ethic and having those guys around like that. I just listened to an interview the other day. I like Spittin' Chicklets a lot. I listened to them. And Taka was on there, your coach, and he was chatting about just a lot of different stuff. It was a great interview, but he talked about when he first took over Arizona, he didn't like the practice culture. He didn't like how hard guys were practicing. He wanted more push, more pace. And he's been really, really happy over the last couple of years on how the team practices. And you were probably coming in right around that time and, kind of seeing that. But how important is having a coach, from the top that's kind of mandating that, and then having those, obviously the players that are buying into it and are bought into it, right?
Yeah, well, obviously at the start of the year, you get more practices, and then the middle towards the end of the year. And you got to take advantage of it. And obviously when guys are dogging it in practice, that's just going to translate to the game. And I mean, it sounds cliche, but the work that you put in is the work that you get out. And he really amped up the practice pace and expected a lot and demanded a lot. And I think it really shows from the year before to last year.
For sure.
Just the way that the team grew over the year. And but yeah, it's obviously a very important thing.
Because you guys had a really like a sneaky good year last year, right? Because you had a lot of injuries, you had a lot of guys out. Your goaltending was like a bit of a mess as far as your number ones were out. But I mean, man, you guys squeezed out some good games, played some good hockey for sure.
Yeah, I think we started a little slow, but obviously we battled a lot of injuries over the year, and I think we were probably top of the league with games missed in terms of players missing games. Yeah. And we just grinded, man. It was a lot of hard work, and it was a lot of who's stepping up tonight kind of thing. And Talk would come in each game and be like, "Okay, we need everyone tonight. We can't have passengers." And we all bought in, and we all knew what we had to do if we wanted to be successful with some skilled guys out and some stars out. So yeah, we put the work in and we grinded, and obviously we saw some results and fell a little bit short, but
kind of a character year though, right? Like hopefully something to build off for.
And I think you need that.
Yeah.
And now for me, especially, I realize what it's going to take next year to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
And we came so close. I think we missed it by a couple points. And obviously we were battling right to the end, and it was our second last game. And we found out that we needed a team to win and a team to lose, and it didn't go our way. But I think that's just going to be so positive and so much better for us next year. And
for sure,
going through that.
Yeah, no, definitely. Did you ever, you probably were too young to watch Talk and play. Would you have caught him like right at the end of his career or not really?
I can't remember.
I've
seen his highlight tape.
He's a savage, man.
He's an animal, yeah.
Like 50 goal scorer, and he'll punch your face in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So coming in like as a young guy with him as your coach, like how was like once you did a little bit of research on him and kind of like, holy shit, this guy's actually like legit.
Yeah. That's impressive to see that his PIMs that he put up, and then you take a look at his point totals.
It's unbelievable, man. He could do everything. But I remember watching him play because I'm just a little bit older than you. But no, I remember watching him play, and man, he was awesome. Like just like intimidating, hard nosed, like play anyway, play anywhere. Like he was unreal.
Just a team guy. Would
Yeah,
do anything for the
totally.
team and
Totally.
Yeah.
So what kind of coach is he? Like kind of just by the sounds of it right now for you is kind of a guy who gets it, right?
Yeah, he really understands it. He's been through it. He's done everything. He sees, he recognizes when we need a day off, when we don't, when we're practicing like shit, when we need to keep going. And I mean, kind of at the start, you are a little bit intimidated of him. Like I remember I didn't really feel that comfortable going up and
chatting with him,
and that's completely normal. But he makes it clear that if you have an issue, come to him. And I mean, he tells us all the time he doesn't want to hear your agent calling and complaining about not enough ice time. He wants you to have some self responsibility. Walk in, talk to him, and I loved him. He's a very good coach. He holds guys accountable. Obviously, he pushes the pace a lot, and a lot of fun to play for. Yeah, no, that's cool. And it's nice when you have guys. I love that old school mentality though too about just if you have an issue, come talk to me. Yeah, because it happens, man. Like you've seen it. Like I remember there was one instant where a player had a chat with the coach. Player went to the locker room. 15, 20 minutes later, there was a call from the GM. The agent had called. So literally within 15 to 30 minutes, this player had gone, text his agent, like it just, they're 40 feet away from each other. And this happens, right? Where just come back in the office. I have a real issue with my ice time. Okay, then let's hash it out, right? You almost have to grow a set. And 100%. It's tough to go in there. And I mean, it's nerve wracking, but if they appreciate it so much more if it comes from you rather than your agent calling and bitching and complaining. Totally. It means so much more if you have the nerve to go walk in there and say, hey, listen, I'm putting the work in. I want more responsibility. I want more ice time. And I think I know he's the type of man to respect that. Yeah. And he'll tell you if you're right or wrong. And he'll tell you like, hey, thanks for coming in here. Let's get to work. Yeah. It's awesome, man. So yeah. Now, have you gone in to talk to him about certain things? Like have you had issues? I've never had to go in there and complain. I'm more of put my work in. And, but I chat with him. I've done video with him and our assistant coaches all the time. And it's awesome. Yeah. Now, then this is more for young kids, but coming from you, I think it's important. But when you started chatting with your coach a little bit, and it could be just like simple question, like, hey, when I get that red, should I chip on this side? Whatever, doesn't matter. Something easy, simple, right? But once you talk to them a little bit more, does it not become way easier? And it does. And that's the thing. It's like, once you kind of break that shell, you realize, hey, like what was the big deal with this in the first place? Yeah. They're people, they understand. And especially him, he knows what that feeling would have been like trying to walk into his coach's office at the time. And, I mean, I chat with him a lot on the ice during practice, like before practice and stuff. And, it's nice if you have a question, you can just point it out to him. He'll tell you what he thinks. And then obviously throughout the skate or throughout the next couple skates, he's looking for it and he's watching. He's like, hey, that's how you do it. Like, there you go. It's awesome. Yeah. But the thing I like about Talk, he's not a guy that, if you make a mistake, it's not like, hey, you're done. Right. Like, he's okay. You made a mistake. You effed up. Yeah. Don't do it again. Yeah. And I mean, to have that and to know that you got a bit of a leash, right? And it's not stuck. For him, if you make a mistake and you work hard to get back into position or work hard to not do it again, he's completely fine with it. I mean, no one likes mistakes, but it happens every game. Sure. You can't control everything. And as long as you're working hard, that's all he asks. Yeah. No, that's cool. Because we've all played for coaches that have grudges. You mess up in the first period, you get sad, or you know what I mean? I understand when a player makes repeated mistakes. No problem. Sit him, player makes a mistake. He didn't mean to dump the puck in on whatever, right? On his own net or whatever it is. But when those coaches hold a grudge a bit, it's hard, man. You feel like you're in a tight leash, tight box, can't play. And then you're scared to make the mistake again. And that's when you're playing scared, that's when the mistakes happen. And I mean, for an example, it's like if you don't get the puck out on the half wall once, he'll be like, come on, bear down. If it happens again, he's like, okay, like, come on, let's go here. Let's go. Yeah. But I mean, it's all about learning. And like I said, he's just so good at understanding what you're going through and obviously demanding excellence at the same time. Yeah. No, he seems like a wicked coach. I think he's someone that a lot of people love to play for sure, man. Yeah. There's a couple other things I just want to touch on quick, but I know you end up playing in the NHL in 19, which is unbelievable. Play a full season up there. It's awesome. You come back the next year, go to camp, obviously expected to play again that, the second year and kind of have
build off your first year. It doesn't work out that way for you. You know, at the end of camp, you end up, you know, kind of going through a little bit of limbo, and then you end up getting sent down to the AHL and spent most of the year in the AHL, got called up a little bit. But what was that second year like after playing, you know, kind of being a steady NHLer the first year? Now all of a sudden, you know, and was there a good communication there on kind of, this is why we're doing it, this is what we feel?
Yeah. When they sent me down, they told me exactly what they wanted me to do. And I mean, originally when I went down, I didn't think I'd be there pretty much the entire year. Like I did get called up once for, it was 5 games or so, but
well, that's kind of everyone's fear, right? Is like, well, you know what, a couple of weeks we'll be calling you back up, and that call
I mean,
come.
Once you realize the call's not coming, it's like, hey, you can't really complain, you can't pout.
Yeah.
You just put your work helmet on, your work boots, and get back to it. And obviously there was a reason they sent me down. They wanted me to expand my game, and I went down there, I worked on it, I approached it with a positive attitude, but at the same time it was tough. I mean, it's definitely a real confidence kicker, but it's really kind of just staying mentally strong and going through those ups and downs and learning on the go. And I was pretty fortunate. We had a really good coaching staff down there that was really willing to work with you. And obviously they want to get up to the highest level as well. Yeah. And they want to see their players go and grow. And so I was doing lots of video down there. I had Mike Van Ryan, Potvin. So it was, looking back on it now, it was definitely a good experience and something that kind of expanded my game, I think.
Yeah, no, definitely. Now, when you do get sent down and then you're kind of waiting and nothing's happening, what, like, mentally, that's got to be so tough, man. Because you everyone wants to make the NHL. Everyone wants to get back up there. You already had a good taste of it. Mm-hmm. Now you're in the AHL and you're not getting that call. Are you asking questions a little bit, even with the coaching staff? Not necessarily like, hey, when am I getting called up? But hey, what do I need to do? Or like, because how are you getting through that? Because for a lot of guys, it'd be put your hands up, start pouting, start being a grump, come to the rink pissed off all the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I mean, like I said, I was doing video after every game, whether it was with the head coach or the assistant coach. It would either be after the game or the next day before practice. And it was all about asking questions. And they obviously knew, the coaching staff knew what the big club wanted me to do. So they were kind of relaying that message through to me constantly. And
what were some of those things, like when they kind of sent you down with your laundry list, a little bit of like, we need you to be better here, were there certain things that kind of stand out to you right now? You're like, okay, I see that.
Yeah, for me, it was like, obviously I'm a big, powerful guy. I have zero problems banging around, playing sound defensively. But their biggest thing for me was just holding on to pucks, and obviously going down to the AHL, you have a little bit of extra time. And it was almost that confidence that, hey, I realize I have this extra second now. And then it kind of relates up top. Obviously it speeds up a little bit, but so their message, they just really wanted me to hold on to pucks and expand my offensive game and just keep growing. And I feel like I did that. I feel like I did everything they asked. And I had a really good exit interview that year. And I showed up the next season ready to work, and I made the team again.
That's awesome, man. No, it's good. Because I mean, you gotta look at it, even mentally, you gotta look at it like, and I don't know if you thought about this at all, but it's almost like, hey, I'm at boot camp right now. Like I've got to grind it out in the A for a little bit, but let's make the most of the A. Let's work out. Let's check video out. Yeah. Let's do the right things, eat, sleep, all that stuff. So I am ready if there is a call that comes, because if you're just sitting there waiting by the phone, you're missing out on days and hours of stuff you could be doing to get better, right?
Yeah, exactly. And that's all it was about. And down the A, they're really good at working on your skills and stuff, and that's exactly what I needed. Yeah. And I remember they would do stuff off the ice too, with stick handling, hands, like vision stuff, training your eyes and stuff like that. And yeah, looking back on it now, I think it was definitely something that needed to happen. And obviously it wasn't the ideal scenario, but at the end of the day, it's what happens. And for me, it's controlling the things that you can control. And for me, that's putting in the work, asking questions, not being afraid to make mistakes, and obviously coming with a positive attitude each and every day.
Yeah, no, for sure. And then what was the talk like last year when you made the team again, or like were up there again? Was there any kind of like, hey man, good job putting the work in, good job, kind of being ready? Was there any of that kind of, or was it just like business as usual?
I think it was more business as usual, but I had the sense that they were pretty proud of the way that I handled everything. Yeah. Because, I mean, you hear the stories of the guys that do go down and pout and
so many
just complain, and that does nothing. And
it hurts you big time.
At the end of the day, you're there. Like, what are you going to do about it? You can't just sit around and wait for that call. If you're just sitting around waiting for the call, it's not going to come. Yeah. You have to go out and put the work in. And obviously my call came, it was after Christmas time, and my family was actually down there for Christmas. So it was pretty good timing. And I got my 5 games up, and then I was back down. And it was just, okay, let's get back to work and let's keep building. Hopefully I can get another call. Obviously that call never came, but it wasn't like I was sitting there being like, when am I going? When am I going? It was, at that point, it was, hey, we have a good team here in Tucson. Let's try and get to the playoffs. Let's try and win a Calder Cup. So
yeah, for sure, man. Now that summer, going from the season you played the entire year, your first year in the NHL, that summer going into the second year, did you feel, and I've asked a question to other guys too, because you see drop-offs and a lot of guys in their second year in the NHL, whether it's a goalie, whether it's a player, it doesn't matter. And it's not, I don't think it's a bad thing. It's more mental, where you're like, okay, had my year. Now I can relax a little bit. I can have maybe a little bit more fun. I can go to a couple more, whatever, parties, concerts, whatever it is, doesn't matter. I'm still going to work out hard, still going to skate. But, I think sometimes guys tend to be like, hey, I've kind of made it.
Yeah.
And then maybe that wake up call of getting sent down to some guys, then, just kind of like, oh, geez, it is easy come, easy go sometimes, right?
Yeah, and for me, it wasn't a work ethic issue. It was nothing to do with that. It was more of almost like a mental thing where it's like, yeah, you have made it. It's not taking the foot off the gas by what some means. It was just like, you have to keep that energy going in your mind as well. And but yeah, for me coming off that year and going into the next summer, that was honestly probably one of my easiest summers in terms of motivation, because I wanted to get back and I had something to kind of prove to myself and prove to others. And I was motivated each and every day on the ice, each and every day in the gym. And I just knew what had to be done. And I didn't want to have to go through another year in the AHL, because that's a physical and mental grind. And you go from eating steak on a plane in a lazy boy seat after a game to eating friggin' Chipotle that you're paying for. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally, man.
There's a lot of motivation there. And that was definitely a real eye opener for me. And now I've learned, and like I said, you kind of learn on the go. And now I know that you can't take your foot off the brake mentally, and you just got to keep pushing and keep growing, because if you're not doing it, someone else is. And that's kind of the baseline of the story. There's a lot of young guys out there that want to do the same thing that I'm doing, and they're pushing themselves. I remember when I was trying to make the NHL, I was working hard, and I realized that if I take a foot off the gas, there's going to be someone else coming in to take my job. Yeah.
And I think it's important too, like as you get older, I think going through stuff like this is huge. I think the fact that you spent the year in the A, because I remember texting back and forth a little bit, like, hey buddy, how's it going? How you doing? And because I knew it was not easy going through that. Because being on the other side of it as a skills coach, I see the guys that come down and the guys that go up, and it's not fun. It's not easy. Like, the A is a great league. The NHL is an unbelievable league, and guys make a great living playing there. It's really good. But for guys that are on entry level deals or contracts, like, that's not where you want to be. But I think being down there, if you do it the right way, sends a message to the big club that this kid's motivated. He's working his tail off. He's a good teammate. He's doing all the right things. And it also gives you a taste of what you don't want to do, right? Of what you don't want to do. You know, you don't want to work. Maybe you don't want to work in a factory all your life. Maybe you want to be the manager of the factory. Well, go work on the line for a couple of weeks or a couple of months or a year.
And experience it.
Exactly. And then the guys that have,
and then you realize like what it actually is. It's like some guys come up and they play straight from the NHL, and obviously that's great, like great for them, good for them. But when you actually go down and experience it, it's another thing to notice that, hey, you're really fortunate up here. Yeah. And you can't take it for granted.
Yeah, you almost appreciate it more, right? Like that steak tastes a little bit better when you get back up there, right?
Exactly.
Totally.
I mean, you're eating at nicer restaurants, you have a little bit more cash to spend.
For sure.
Everything's much easier. And
Oh, totally, man. I'm going back to the spit and chocolates. Is Bissonette around a little bit?
A lot.
Is he? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Just a beauty.
Unbelievable guy. Yeah. He's so funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He always talks about him being like, he was a jester there when he's there. He's like filled up water bottles and whatever, right? Kind of jokes around about it.
Grocery stick kind of guy.
Yeah. But he seems like he'd be, a guy who's got a good fingers on the pulse there, and probably around the boys a lot, and kind of, does a lot of fun stuff with the guys. So.
Yeah. He's a good guy. And obviously now that he's into the spitting chiclets, he's up and obviously watching around the league, and he's had some gigs with the NHL. So he's learned a lot and he's seen a lot in these last couple of years. And obviously he's our radio guy at home for us. So,
that's right.
But yeah, any chance you get to talk to him, he's an incredible guy. He's so friendly and so outgoing, but the jokes are endless with him.
Yeah, I can imagine. And it's cool because I think it gives, for anyone who hasn't played, it kind of gives a little bit of insight on what goes on with him and kind of what they do with Spit and Chicklets. It gives a little bit of an insight on what's going on. And I think it's awesome for the fan. Like it's great. And anytime you get a chance to like chat with any guys in NHL, for anyone who has never played or just likes watching, it's cool to get inside scoops and see like how they get there. What do they do? And, cool stories.
Yeah, they do like the whole behind the scenes thing, which is nice. Cause I mean, fans and stuff, they see us on the ice. They don't really see us away from the rink. So to kind of get that experience of what goes on outside of what happens on the ice, I guess it's pretty cool. And obviously they've done a great job with Spitting Chicklets. I still listen to it. They're pretty funny. And I like it during the year because they kind of lead off with like the recaps of what's happening around the league. And it's not easy to kind of keep up every night. Like obviously you see the scores and you see the points and stuff, but they're really good at keeping you in the loop of what's actually going on.
Yeah, I know for sure.
Yeah,
for sure. So coming up this year, we'll I won't keep you here all day, even though we can chat all day, but how are you looking forward? Like, what's your mindset going into this year? I guess a little bit different. So now you just, congratulations, by the way, you just, sign a new deal. So now there's a little bit more stability as far as getting out of your entry level. Now, okay, I'm going to be here hopefully for, another couple of years. And what's your mindset going into this year? Like now, okay, I've gone through my ups and downs. I've played in the A, played in the N. I've got my 3 years under my belt in pro hockey. Okay, now it's time for me to really like do what?
Yeah, for me, I want
light it up.
Yeah, I want to take that next step.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I had a pretty solid finish to my year last year in terms of kicking in some points and some goals, and that kind of really opened my eyes as to what more I can do. And obviously, as each year goes by, you kind of learn more, and your game expands a little bit. You feel a little bit more comfortable. I hate that word "comfortable" because you never want to be it, but it's definitely a positive mindset going in and ready to work again. And I know it's not going to be easy again. And teams are getting better. Players are getting faster, more skilled. Everything's growing. And if you're not ready to keep up with that, you're going to be in the basement. So for me, it's just a real positive mindset. I'm really excited to get back and really build off of what we kind of finished the season like last year.
It's awesome, man. And just on like for me as an outsider looking in on your career and kind of what you've done, obviously when you went to Toronto, it was awesome. I know that you were working hard there. It's nice to have you back here, to be honest with you. I love working with you. It's awesome, but I think there's a real fun group of young guys here, and they have everywhere, right? But they're all kind of in the same boat. They all want to go and they all want to do more. They all want to be better. They all want to push. And it's fun to see you guys working together and kind of being together and, doing your workouts together and skating together and going to hang out after and stuff. But I think that's really important to be mentally just, like I heard a couple of you guys went fishing last night. Like just being able to get away and just do things that just, boys do. Like just go be boys and then come in, put the work boots on, work together hard. And, so it's awesome to have you back, but I'm really excited to see how this year's going to play out for you. Just having a new contract and having some numbers last year, which is awesome, putting up over 10 goals and, having a good run last year. Now having a little bit more, maybe more confidence this year coming in, being like, hey, I got a little bit more, a
little more swagger. And I mean, obviously this is kind of where it all started for me. And the thing I really love about here, we push each other each and every day. And it's like, we've got such a great group here of trainers and obviously guys that are training. And for us to be out training in the gym, it's like, screw you, I want to lift more than you. On the ice, it's like, screw you, I want to score more than you out here. Like, it's a really good when you feel comfortable with your peers and you can push each other to be the best. I think that's when you get the most. And but yeah, it's a lot of fun being back here. And like you said, we went fishing all day yesterday. And it's just nice to be able to kind of kick back away from the rink and just be normal people again. And because it is a very demanding sport, not only on the ice, but in the community, there's a lot of people who know who we are just walking around, and the expectations are high. So any chance you can kind of have to kick back and just be like a normal kid again, it's obviously a good feeling and a lot of fun. And
and I think, you said something there that I want to touch on quick, but even for young kids, like as a hockey players, you are put in a lot of uncomfortable situations, whether that's meeting fans after a game or doing something like this or getting on TV or playing your games, whatever it is, right? But getting into comfortable situations around people that genuinely care for you, don't care if you play another game in the NHL.
Exactly,
I think that's important, right? Whether you're 10 years old, having family dinner and being able to be yourself is amazing. I think those are really invaluable opportunities, right? And I think a lot of times, whether it's living, let's say in Toronto, like that's kind of uncomfortable for the first couple of months for you, just kind of getting your,
Well, I mean, I walked into Toronto not knowing pretty much anyone. Never met the trainer there, never met anyone from the gym. Like I played against some of the guys that year, but it was just kind of going in there and in an unfamiliar place that obviously grew on me, and I really love being there. But
Totally.
I think it's very important to kind of have that mindset that you can kind of put hockey away for a minute and then just kind of focus on being a normal person. And as much as you'd like to do hockey, like people think, you got to be hockey if you want to be in the NHL. Yeah, you do. But at the same time, you have to really take advantage of the time that is away from the rink, because that's just as important for your brain, for your body to kind of relax, regroup. And I mean, if you were doing hockey, I think at times it might be a little stressful, and it's definitely important to kind of get that break from the game.
Definitely. And I think, we touched on right at the start of this talk is just mentally recharging a little bit. And I think that's probably the most important organ we have, right? Yeah, totally.
So underrated.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a very mentally demanding sport. Like hockey's a very mental game.
Yeah.
It's what you believe is, for me, I really believe in the energy that you put out is what you get in return. And you have to stay positive through all the ups and downs, but at the same time, you need to realize when you need a second to just kick back and say, screw it, I'm not doing anything today. Like a weekend, like I'm just going to chill and go jump on the boat, go fish, go golf. Like I don't have to be thinking about hockey today.
Yeah.
Because you need that break. You do. And I think that's a very underrated thing that kids and parents kind of pressure their kids into, where it's like, hey, if you want to be an NHL player, you got to come home. Obviously, I was shooting pucks every day as a kid, but it's like you need that break. You need it.
Yeah. And I think, for the young kids, sometimes it's up to the parents to do that. Hey, we're going to the cottage this weekend, or hey, we're going to go out on the boat, or hey, we're going to go golfing as a family.
Or hey, we're going to put you in baseball.
Totally.
Like we're going to expand your sports. Like you're 8 years old. It's like you don't have to put your kid in summer hockey, spring hockey, like extra skates. It's like let them go play golf, let them go play soccer, let them go play basketball. Like, and I think that was a big thing for me. I played lacrosse growing up, never a soccer guy. I played baseball. I love baseball. Yeah. Obviously golf. I've golfed my entire life, and I think just like even being in the different environments of different sports and like it's different movements with your body. I think it just overall molds you into a better hockey player, because you're going through all these different like functions and different like balances, things and coordinations. It's just, I think it's very important to kind of kick back and obviously experience different things, but at the same time realize when you have something special. Yeah, no, I totally, and I think, we didn't touch on this a lot, but I mean, your mom and dad obviously played a huge role. And your dad's a super passionate guy. Your mom's awesome. She's maybe a little more level-headed at times, but Mikey likes to get a little fired up. But obviously they did a lot for you and your sisters and opened doors for you guys and let you guys, but like you said, figured out pretty early on that you liked hockey. Yeah. So opened up some doors, got you maybe some extra skill development, maybe put together a shooting lane at the house so you could shoot pucks, and little things like that. And if you don't have parents that are doing that for you or helping you out doing that, it's a little bit tougher on the kid, right? It's like how's a 10-year-old kid supposed to? Exactly. You know what I mean? Like my dad went out and bought me an NHL net regulation. Yeah. And before took us a while. I was firing pucks at halfway down the driveway, putting holes in the walls, crossbar off the roof. And we decided, hey, it might be a good idea to hang this blue tarp. And it was so funny because my parents sold their house. I guess it would have been a year and a half ago now, and the people that bought it, the guy was telling me they were finding like pucks in the drywall. There was like huge holes in the wall. I was awesome. Like, oh, that's my bad, but
that's
enjoy
amazing.
Fixing that one up.
Yeah, some guy's gonna love telling the story. Like, this is Lawson Crouse.
This is his garage.
Pucks. Yeah, 100%. Probably selling little tours in there for kids. Yeah. Oh, it's awesome. Listen, buddy, I really appreciate you coming by. This has been great, and we'll have to do this again sometime. It's awesome, man.
Yeah, thank you.
Very good. Thanks, buddy.